My cousin faked stage 3 cancer and took $20,000 from me, then used my face in a GoFundMe saying I was an addict. When I confronted her, she whispered, 70% of the money is going to be used to pay you back though. Like that justified it. I just walked away. That was 11 months ago. This morning, she was standing outside my apartment in tears. My entire family is filled with morons who mean well. When I was 17 and got into a car accident, my dad showed up to the hospital with a congratulations balloon because he thought any major event deserved a party. And most of my family actually believes that Australia is a fake country, filled with paid actors. So there was only one family member that I felt close to, my cousin, Samantha. She agreed with me that our family was completely effed, and we'd joke about being the ones to end the bloodline. Sometimes I even noticed her taking advantage of our family's idiocy, but I thought she'd never do that to me. Fast forward to last year. I realized I hadn't heard from her in a few months, so I gave her a call. She told me the 3 words you never want to hear. I have cancer. It was stage 3, aggressive. She said she didn't want anyone to feel sorry for her, just wanted to tell me before I found out from someone else. Well, money wasn't even a thought. I immediately went to Zelle and sent her $4,000. Not much relative to cancer costs, but I wanted to show her that I loved her, and that we were fighting this together. I didn't see her for a while after that, but I started taking up extra shifts at work so I could send Samantha 30% of my paychecks. It didn't feel like she owed me anything for it. It just felt like the right thing to do. It's for this reason that 6 months later, even when she wasn't replying to any of my texts or calls, I was still sending her money every month. But as I lay awake in bed one night, I had this thought. What if the cancer had progressed and she just wasn't saying anything? I didn't know what to do, so I called my mom. "Oh, honey, you're so silly. She's not sick. I just saw her yesterday." I had to stop myself from tearing my hair out. Of course she'd say that. "Okay, Mom, my bad," I said, before immediately hanging up the phone. Suddenly, I was hit with a wave of responsibility and drove to Samantha's house. I knew by this point she'd probably be balding, so I brought a nice hat as well as some fragrance-free lotion for her skin. When I knocked on the door, I expected to be greeted with a jaundiced, skinny, depressed cancer patient, but then I heard the loud music, accompanied with flashing LED lights, and when the door opened, I was met with a smiley, healthy-as-ever woman. Her hair and skin looked even better than mine. We locked eyes, and I saw a wave of panic wash over her. "Oh, hey, I'm in the middle of throwing a party because I just found out I beat cancer." I could smell the alcohol and tobacco on her breath. I didn't say anything, just glared at her. It was clear she didn't ever have cancer. She looked really uncomfortable, and after 2 minutes of intense silence, she whispered, "I'm sorry." Well, an apology just wasn't good enough. By that point, I had sent her close to $20,000 total. I told her that I considered her indebted to me until she paid me back. She looked down at the ground, as if she was the victim in the situation. I knew if I stayed there, I was going to do something I'd regret, so I just left. And as I drove on the I-95, I thought about how naive I'd been to think I was the exception to her manipulation. One time, when her mom wanted her to get a part-time job, she forged a doctor's note that said she had chronic fatigue syndrome, just so she wouldn't have to contribute to the family. Another time, she borrowed her dad's car and completely scratched it up, then somehow gaslit her dad into thinking he did it himself. When I got home, I knew she wasn't going to pay me back, so I just cut my losses and blocked her on everything. A month later, I was doing pretty well. I suddenly had a lot more money to spend, and life was sweet. I was in the middle of a yoga class when my mom texted, "Honey, I had no idea you were struggling. Trust me, we're gonna get through this together." I was about to ask her what she was talking about, but that's when she sent me a GoFundMe link. On it was my full name and face. "I've been struggling with Molly for 3 years. Please help me quit heart," was the description. I was instantly filled with anger. She had lost me as a source of income, and instead of getting a job, she was telling the whole world that I was a substance addict. I didn't even text her anything, just sent her the link. 70% of the money is going to be used to pay you back, though, she replied, as if it was the most justified explanation. I sighed, and just sent the whole thing to the extended family group chat. I told them everything, the fake cancer, the debt, how that wasn't really me. I expected them to spam text her, accuse her, put her in her place. But 10 minutes later, I had a missed call, then another, and another. After 2 hours had passed, I had 37 missed calls and 99 plus unopened messages, all informing me that I was a horrible person. I sat back in my chair, staring at my phone screen in disbelief. The link to my YouTube video sat there, blue and untouched, while my family members chose to believe Samantha's lies instead of watching the evidence I had gathered. My cousin Morgan called me next, and I actually picked up this time, my finger trembling slightly as I swiped to answer. Morgan didn't yell like the others. Instead, she asked questions, lots of them. She wanted to know my side of the story, which was refreshing after being bombarded with accusations. I explained everything again, how Samantha had pretended to be me, faked cancer, and collected thousands of dollars from our family members. My voice cracked as I detailed how she'd stolen photos from my private Instagram, edited them, and created an elaborate fiction about my supposed illness. I believe you, Morgan said finally. Those 3 words felt like a life raft in the middle of a stormy ocean. I hadn't realized I'd been holding my breath until I exhaled, tears of relief stinging my eyes. With Morgan's help, we started gathering more evidence. She reached out to the hospital where Samantha claimed to receive treatment. No record of any cancer patient with her name existed there. We found the photographer who took the hospital bed photos, a friend of Samantha's who confirmed they were staged in her apartment with some medical props bought online. The photographer seemed genuinely shocked when we explained how the photos had been used. The most damning evidence came from Samantha's ex-boyfriend, Taylor. He sent us screenshots of text messages where she bragged about how easy it was to trick everyone. "These people are so stupid," she had written. "They'll believe anything if you add enough sad emojis." Reading those words made my stomach turn. The casual cruelty was almost harder to process than the scam itself. Armed with this proof, Morgan helped me create a detailed document with timestamps, screenshots, and witness statements. We spent 3 sleepless nights organizing everything chronologically, highlighting contradictions in Samantha's story. We sent it to everyone in the family, but most of them still wouldn't listen. Uncle David even called to tell me I was jealous of a cancer patient and should be ashamed. His words cut deep, especially since he'd been like a second father to me growing up. Our breakthrough came when Aunt Linda, who had donated the most money, finally looked at our evidence. She worked as a nurse and quickly spotted medical inconsistencies in Samantha's story. The chemo port Samantha had shown in photos was in the wrong position. The medication names she mentioned didn't match her supposed diagnosis. The side effects she claimed to experience didn't align with her purported treatment protocol. Aunt Linda was furious. Her normally gentle face hardened with resolve as she organized a family fundraiser, supposedly to raise more money for Samantha's treatment. Samantha couldn't say no without looking suspicious, so she agreed to attend, unaware of the trap being set. The day of the fundraiser arrived. About 40 family members gathered at Uncle David's backyard, the autumn air crisp and cool. Colorful get-well-soon balloons bobbed in the breeze, and a donation box already overflowed with checks and cash. Samantha showed up wearing a headscarf and looking appropriately weak and tired. She hugged everyone, accepting their sympathy with fake tears, her thin frame seemingly fragile as she moved through the crowd. When it was time for speeches, Aunt Linda invited Samantha to speak about her journey. As Samantha stood up and began her rehearsed speech about bravery and gratitude, Linda connected her laptop to the projector. My heart pounded so loudly I was sure everyone could hear it. The backyard fell silent as Linda displayed the evidence on the big screen. First came the hospital records showing no patient with Samantha's name. Then the contradictory social media posts. Samantha at a concert on a day she claimed to be getting chemotherapy. The fake medical bills with inconsistent formatting. The messages from her ex-boyfriend. And finally, a side-by-side comparison of her posts and the real me, showing how she had stolen my identity. Samantha tried to run, but Uncle David blocked the gate. His earlier defense of her transformed into protective anger. Her face turned red, then white. She started crying, real tears this time, and finally confessed. She admitted to everything, the fake cancer, stealing my identity, and scamming the family out of nearly $27,000. The family was stunned. Some cried, others yelled. Aunt Linda, always practical, made Samantha sign an agreement to pay back the money and attend therapy. The family decided not to involve police if she complied with these terms. Samantha moved out of state to live with her grandmother while attending therapy sessions. I watched her leave that day, shoulders hunched, no longer playing the role of brave cancer patient. For 6 months, things were quiet. Samantha sent monthly payments and apologetic texts. The family slowly healed, though some relationships remained strained. I got most of my reputation back, though a few relatives still looked at me suspiciously. I'd catch their sideways glances at family gatherings, their whispered conversations that stopped when I approached. Then Samantha returned. She showed up at a family birthday party looking healthy but troubled. Her hair had grown back to a stylish bob, and she'd gained weight, looking more like her old self. She pulled me aside and whispered that someone was blackmailing her about the cancer scam. She claimed a mysterious person had evidence and was threatening to expose her to her new friends and workplace if she didn't pay them. I almost believed her until I noticed her new designer purse and shoes. Something didn't add up. I asked to see the blackmail messages, but she made excuses about deleting them for her mental health. Her eyes darted away when she spoke, a tell I remembered from childhood when she'd lie about taking my toys. Morgan and I started investigating again. We discovered Samantha had stopped therapy months ago. Her grandmother confirmed she'd moved out, claiming to have a great new job. But when we checked her employment history, we found nothing. The company she claimed to work for had never heard of her. The truth emerged when Samantha's roommate Casey contacted me through social media. Casey had discovered Samantha running a new scam, pretending to be a talent scout and charging aspiring models for portfolio services. When Casey confronted her, Samantha had used the blackmail story as an excuse for needing money quickly. We decided to confront Samantha one last time. Morgan, Casey, and I invited her to coffee at a busy cafe downtown. When she arrived, we laid out everything we knew. At first, she denied it all, then tried the tears again. But when Casey played a recording of Samantha admitting to the new scam, she finally broke down. "You don't understand what it's like to be me," she said, mascara running down her cheeks. "Nothing special about me. No talents, no looks. But when I'm pretending to be someone else, people care. They notice me." I almost felt sorry for her until she tried to steal Casey's wallet on the way out, slipping it into her coat pocket with practiced ease when Casey went to pay the bill. We reported both scams to the police. They didn't arrest her, but the official warning scared her enough to pay back most of the money. Between her payments and what her embarrassed parents contributed, the family recovered about 80% of what was stolen. Samantha was effectively exiled from the family after that. Last I heard, she moved to another state. Sometimes she tries to contact younger cousins on social media, but we've all warned each other about her patterns. As for me, I learned to be more careful. I changed all my passwords, locked down my social media, and checked my credit report regularly. Morgan and I became closer through this whole ordeal. She's now the first person I call when something seems off. The hardest part wasn't the money or the reputation damage. It was realizing how easily someone could pretend to be me, and how readily some people believe the worst about me without even asking for my side of the story. Some relatives still avoid eye contact at family gatherings. Uncle David apologized eventually, but things aren't the same between us. Aunt Linda has become my strongest ally, though, always ready to defend me if anyone brings up the Samantha situation. I still get messages sometimes from strangers who heard about the fake cancer story, but not the truth. Just last week, someone called me a monster for faking cancer. I don't bother explaining anymore. The people who matter know the truth. If there's one thing I've learned, it's to trust actions over words. Samantha was full of convincing stories and emotional appeals, but her actions revealed who she really was. I'm still working on forgiving the family members who turned on me so quickly, but some wounds heal slower than others. For now, I'm focusing on rebuilding my life and helping others spot scams before they become victims. My YouTube channel has become a place where I share stories about identity theft and family fraud. It's not the content I plan to make, but if it helps even one person avoid what happened to me, it's worth it. Last week, my channel hit 50,000 subscribers. I never expected to find a community through such a terrible experience, but there's something healing about turning pain into purpose. The comments section is filled with people sharing similar stories, and I've connected with several victims who were scammed by their own relatives. Some days, scrolling through these messages feels like reading pages from my own diary. The shock, betrayal, and eventual determination to reclaim their lives mirrors my journey perfectly. My latest video about spotting fake medical documents went viral after a local news station picked it up. They interviewed me about family fraud, and while I was nervous to tell my story on TV, the response was overwhelming. People sent messages thanking me for helping them question suspicious fundraisers before donating. One woman wrote that she'd almost contributed her entire savings to her brother's emergency surgery before watching my video and discovering his hospital bills were fabricated. Looking back at how everything unfolded still makes my stomach turn. After discovering Samantha's fake cancer scheme, I knew I needed solid evidence before confronting her. My cousin Jordan helped me gather proof by recording Samantha's contradictory stories about her treatments. He spent weeks documenting her lies, noting how she claimed to be too weak for visitors one day, then posted photos from a concert the next. My Aunt Patricia, who works at a hospital, pointed out medical inconsistencies in the documents Samantha had shown the family. The letterhead was outdated, the doctor's signature looked forged, and the treatment protocols didn't match standard oncology practices. The hardest part was convincing my parents that their beloved niece was lying to everyone. They refused to believe it until I showed them the fake social media accounts she'd created to spread her cancer story and collect donations. Dad went pale when he saw the PayPal statements showing thousands of dollars flowing into her account. Mom started crying, repeating, "But why would she do this?" as if asking enough times would make the answer less painful. We decided to confront her at the family fundraiser she'd organized. Over 60 people had gathered at my uncle's backyard, many wearing Team Samantha t-shirts she'd sold online for $25 each. Neighbors, co-workers, and even her old high school teachers had come to support her fight against a disease she never had. I connected my laptop to the projector meant for her treatment journey slideshow, and instead displayed screenshots of her lies alongside real medical facts. My hands were shaking so badly that Jordan had to take over clicking through the presentation. The silence in that backyard was deafening. Samantha tried to run, but my Uncle James blocked the gate. When cornered, she broke down and admitted everything. No cancer, no treatments, just greed and a desperate need for attention. Her mascara streaked down her face as she sobbed, creating black rivers that seemed fitting for the darkness she'd brought into our lives. The family was split between those who wanted to call the police and those who wanted to handle it privately. In the end, we made Samantha sign an agreement to pay back the money, apologize to everyone she'd deceived, and attend therapy out of state. Her parents were devastated but agreed this was the best solution. They sold their vacation cabin to repay the largest donors, their retirement plans crumbling alongside their trust in their daughter. For 6 months, things were quiet. Samantha moved to Colorado to live with her grandmother and supposedly attended therapy sessions. I started rebuilding my life, though trust didn't come easily anymore. I changed all my passwords, froze my credit, and installed security cameras at my apartment. I jumped at unexpected phone calls and scrutinized every request for help, no matter how small. The hypervigilance was exhausting, but felt necessary. Then came the email. Samantha claimed someone had discovered her past and was blackmailing her. She begged for money to pay them off, saying they threatened to expose her to her new friends and employer in Colorado. A few family members were ready to help her again, but something felt off about her story. The email contained the same grammatical errors she always made, and the urgency felt manufactured, designed to prevent anyone from asking too many questions. I reached out to her roommate in Colorado, Jennifer, who I'd met once during a video call. Jennifer was confused. There was no blackmailer. Instead, she revealed Samantha had been collecting money for a fake charity, claiming to help children with cancer. The irony was sickening. She had even visited a children's hospital to take photos with young patients, telling staff she was a cancer survivor, volunteering her time. With Jennifer's help, we gathered evidence of this new scam, screenshots of donation requests, fake charity websites, and even a recording of Samantha practicing her sad story in the mirror. Jennifer felt terrible for not realizing sooner, but Samantha had fooled us all before. She described how Samantha would cry on cue when talking about her kids and carried a photo album of children she claimed were benefiting from her charity. When confronted with this new evidence during a family video call, Samantha tried to blame Jennifer, claiming she was the mastermind. The lie fell apart when Jennifer showed everyone the notebook where Samantha had written out her scam plans step by step, including calculations of how much money she expected to make and notes about which sob stories generated the most donations. This time, there was no family protection. My uncle called the police in Colorado, and Samantha faced legal consequences for fraud. She was ordered to pay restitution and sentenced to community service. More importantly, she was effectively exiled from our family. Holiday gatherings no longer included discussions about when she might return or whether we should forgive her. Her name became taboo, mentioned only in hushed tones like some dark family secret. Through legal action and the help of Jennifer, who tracked down several victims, I recovered about 80% of the money Samantha had stolen from me. The remaining amount wasn't worth the emotional toll of pursuing it further. The financial loss stung, but the betrayal cut deeper than any monetary value could measure. The hardest part was rebuilding relationships with family members who had initially sided with Samantha. My Aunt Barbara, who once accused me of jealousy, sent a handwritten apology letter that took me 3 days to open. We've slowly started talking again, though our relationship will never be the same. Our conversations remain superficial, carefully avoiding any topic that might lead back to what happened. My cousin Alex, who had been one of Samantha's biggest defenders, still hasn't apologized. He avoids me at family gatherings and changed the subject when I tried to clear the air. Some bridges stay burned, I guess. I sometimes catch him watching me from across the room at family events, his expression unreadable, before he turns away when our eyes meet. The experience changed how I approach trust. I now keep a small circle of people I truly rely on. My friend Melissa, who believed me from the start, helped me set up a secure password manager and taught me about digital privacy. My brother Tom checks in regularly and helped me install better locks and security cameras at my apartment. These small acts of protection have become rituals that ground me when memories of Samantha's betrayal resurface. My YouTube channel wasn't part of the plan, but it's become a lifeline. I started by sharing my own story, then began featuring other victims of family fraud. People send me suspicious GoFundMe campaigns to review, and I've helped identify several scams before they could hurt more people. Each video feels like reclaiming a piece of power that Samantha took from me. Last month, I received a message from Samantha's former best friend, who shared that Samantha has moved to Arizona and is dating someone new. Apparently, she's told him she's a cancer survivor. Old habits die hard, I suppose. I considered warning him, but decided against inserting myself into her life again. There's only so much responsibility I can take for her actions. Sometimes I wonder if she believes her own lies now, if the line between reality and fiction has blurred beyond recognition in her mind. Instead, I focus on protecting myself and helping others do the same. I've learned to recognize the warning signs of manipulation, the inconsistent stories, the convenient emergencies, the pressure to act quickly without verifying facts. These lessons came at a high price, but they've made me stronger. My therapist says healing isn't linear, and she's right. Some days I'm angry about what happened, while other days I feel nothing but pity for Samantha. Living with such dishonesty must be its own kind of prison. For now, I'm taking life one day at a time. My channel continues to grow, and I'm working on a guide for families dealing with fraud by a loved one. The emails I receive from people who've avoided scams because of my videos make the painful journey worthwhile. Trust is still hard, but I'm learning to open up again. Not everyone is a Samantha. Most people are just doing their best, and remembering that helps me stay balanced between caution and connection. I don't know if I'll ever hear from Samantha again, and honestly, I'm okay with that. Some chapters are better left closed, even if the ending wasn't what anyone hoped for. I still get asked sometimes if I ever press charges. The answer is complicated. My lawyer, Karen, advised that we had a solid case for fraud and emotional distress, but pursuing it would mean reliving every painful detail in court. In the end, I chose peace over justice. Some people don't understand that choice, but they didn't live through what I did. The nightmares, the panic attacks in crowded places, the way my hands would shake whenever my phone rang with an unknown number, these were the invisible costs of Samantha's